Shadow work, see it for what it is. And if you gotta cry, then shed tears. You are not alone, you got yourself still. Too many perspectives on what's real. Shadow work, see it for what it is. And if you gotta cry, then shed tears. You are not alone, you got yourself still. Too many perspectives on what's real. What's real?
Facing my insecurities, knowing where I got it from. I look at love different, it ain't nothing with broken trust.
Shadow work, see it for what it is. And if you gotta cry, then shed tears. You are not alone, you got yourself still. Too many perspectives on what's real. Shadow work, see it for what it is. And if you gotta cry, then shed tears. You are not alone, you got yourself still. Too many perspectives on what's real. What's real?
Facing my insecurities, knowing where I got it from. I look at love different, it ain't nothing with broken trust.
Shadow work, see it for what it is. And if you gotta cry, then shed tears. You are not alone, you got yourself still. Too many perspectives on what's real. Shadow work, see it for what it is. And if you gotta cry, then shed tears. You are not alone, you got yourself still. Too many perspectives on what's real. What's real?
Facing my insecurities, knowing where I got it from. I look at love different, it ain't nothing with broken trust.
Terrorism brought a different type of fear to Americans and the people in general. It's the fear of wherever you could be the next target of a terroristic attack.
Right.
So
let's take it here. Because this is what I'm hearing. I want to ask a question. What are you fearing? This is for all of us. What actually what created fear with your inner child? You know what I'm saying? What made you fear yourself? You know what I mean? What was the first time you felt fear in your life? Speaking on this, because I can't say that I felt it from a traumatic, place of terrorism.
Right.
But I felt fear in many ways. So it's like, how has that affected you? And that's just a question I ask myself. That's deep. So let's go ahead and get into. Actually, let's do the shadowwork crystal of the day. Actually, let's go and tap in on that. So the shadowwork crystal of the day is malachite. We're gonna do this first before we go. We're gonna go obviously do how we do, and lock in. And we'll forget about this. So the shadowwork the shadowwork crystal of the day is malachite. One of my favorite crystals. Very powerful healing crystal. Actually, I have on a malachite necklace right now that I used in very deep healing, deep shadow work, and then gave it to my goddess, was like led to give to her. And we don't really pass crystals, you know what I'm saying? My crystal, hers is hers, But then we have the ones that we have together, if that makes sense. But I get past the tour, and it was like the perfect timing. And it's back here now. But green, the power of this too, just in the green sense, the heart chakra. That's a color, the heart chakra, but it's more not the low vibrational part of it, more the emotional part of it. The pink is more the blissful, joyful part of of love. So it's the healing part. Green represents the healing part of love. So
that green is healing.
So malachite is the shadow work crystal of the day, and we got some cooked up for y'all real quick pertaining the shadow work crystal. So we'll be right back. Say, bro, I'm talking to my goddess. She talking about going skating, watching cartoons. I'm like, I don't watch cartoons. I don't go skating. You know what I mean? I'm a grown man. She's like, you need to connect with your inner child. I'm like, connect with my inner child. Like, yes.
And a child needs you. Need me. That's tough.
Listen, my multi-dimensional melanated brother, you gotta connect with your inner child. What are you doing? What are you saying to your goddess, man? Listen, you need to get you some malachite, my brother, okay? Malachite's gonna help you with that deep inner healing. It's gonna help you really connect with not only your inner child, but your inner self in general. Get you some malachite, hit the skating rink, watch some cartoons with the goddess. Don't play yourself.
Purchase your crystals now at GodEnergyLLC.com. Peace.
Peace, family. So we back, live in effect.
Malachite.
We're gonna, like I said, we had the music going. We're gonna kill it for now, because that is the time. It's podcast, not podcast. So much gratitude to the family that is here, and so let's start off with the definition of trauma.
Yes,
You can
sir.
get
Let's
that
get
from
into
the
that.
fam.
So, we got to bring y'all, the facts. So trauma is defined as a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. And then a second definition, more minor definition, is physical injury. So I'll run that back.
Okay.
Trauma is defined as a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Uh, and then a little example, a personal trauma like the death of a child. So that's more extreme, but
That is extreme, but man, people go through it. That is
yes,
something that
sir.
people go through.
Yes, sir.
Death, like you said, death in general. So,
Yep.
and then the etymology of trauma is wound.
Yeah.
And the definition of wound is an injury to living tissue caused by a cut, blow, or other impact. Typically, one that actually breaks the skin per se. You know what I'm saying? It does damage beyond the surface. So these are the type of traumas that we're talking about. And that's a wound. So that's what we're talking about, the inner child. Now, the fam that been here for a while, we've talked about memories of the heart space, and so we're gonna dig deep into that again tonight on the
Yeah.
memories of the heart space, because taking it back to on point, man, it was a very powerful live that we had, and he really spoke about a situation that maybe he was reflecting back on, a relationship that maybe wasn't serving so well,
Mm,
but the memory was a beautiful memory. And so, and we can get trapped in those memories,
fact.
and it'll have us going back to things and dealing with certain things that we've dealt with from our childhood because we're so used to it. It became like second nature. You know what I mean? Like the way your mama loved you is like that's supposed to be the most purest, realest thing. But
Because even you saying that and diving in a little bit on the etymology of trauma, and I know we was gonna get into that anyway, but you saying that it makes it more relevant, because the etymology or the origin of the word trauma is coming from Latin or the Greek word trauma, the word as is, which is a wound, a hurt, or a defeat. But I think it's interesting the last two are hurt or defeat. So trauma can
right,
be like you just said, somebody like in a relationship, it can be that major hurt or
yeah.
defeat that you felt, going through a certain situation.
No, that's powerful. A hurt or a defeat.
Mm-hmm.
That's a part of you, and that's the inner child. So we can talk about later. We talk about it now, but
Yep.
there's parts of the inner child that's in cages. You know what I'm saying? How did they get in the cage?
Yeah,
Someone had to put them there,
it's a
and then you
fact.
had to be okay with them being there to allow them to stay there.
Yep.
So it was a whole trick and a whole psychological game that got
Yep.
played, and obviously you have to love the person that did it to you, or you wouldn't allow them to affect you like this.
Right.
I would have never allowed them to affect me like this. And so that's where it gets tricky. But like I said, when it comes to these cages, our whole goal as to healing the inner child is to go within these cages to find the frequency to unlock these cages. There's many
Yep.
parts of the inner child. There's parts of the inner child is going to bring you, that actually rise up and triggers when you're angry, when you're sad. It makes you sad. It makes you angry. These different emotions. But then there's parts of the inner child that makes you the most joyful you'll ever be in your life.
And we
You know what I
gotta we
mean?
low key, we gotta speak on why the inner child is so relevant. It's like, well, why is the inner child so important? even if we want to take it back to, we'll take it back to this example from scripture that most people might know that says to
Okay.
enter into the kingdom of heaven, you have to become childlike,
I
but
say.
why would something like that be included? Because really and truly to access your spiritual gifts and to I guess ascend, as we would probably put it, you have to become again like a child, and you have to tap into your childlike nature, which is that childlike wonder and that reverie for everything, that ability to get lost in imagination. All of these things are very important when you're talking about transcending this place and then also ascending. It's going to happen through the vehicle of that inner child. So it's very, just to lace the top of the live.
Well, some say the children are closer to God. So even if you
Exactly.
look at it in that
And
aspect,
listen, I'm a believer in that. I believe that it's kind of like they're fresh off the boat, so to speak, from the other side of the spiritual plane. That we are heavily connected still to that side.
right, right.
And
So that's
I've heard from a
powerful.
good source, it's up until age 7. That age, right around age 7, go figure, is when we start kind of getting more ingrained in 3D, the 3D world, or the world of
The
form.
theta, you get out of that theta mindset,
Yeah, you
which
start
is
to
a
shift
certain
away from your memories of the
exactly.
spirit.
You
So
know,
yeah,
that's where they call you crazy for having an imaginary friend.
nah, facts though.
That's those type of times, where you're actually
Yeah,
seeing beyond what your parents can see. You're
yeah,
seeing beyond, what your family can see.
yeah,
Somebody said mental trauma, physical trauma, and spiritual trauma, emotional trauma. I
yeah.
say, you know, um, I really felt every one, you know, truthfully, to speak on myself, mental trauma, physical trauma, spiritual trauma, and emotional trauma. And I like how the emotional trauma is last because those are all emotional. Even when we're talking about the mental,
Nah, for
we're
real.
talking about the trauma and the spiritual, it always goes back to your heart space.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And honestly, these areas, they affect our whole life. They affect how you love. They affect, what you love and don't love about yourself.
That's a fact.
We actually were going to speak about this. I love how this is going, because it's really just flowing right into everything. But we was going to speak about later. But the your household creates what failure and greatness looks like. So your household creates what failure and greatness looks like. They create the standard. You know what I'm saying? Um,
And not to cut you off, and like when you think about families, right, and you think about what makes families like tight knit, families can also kind of be seen as emotional groups. So right, like your family teaches you, emotional bonding, kind of like as you're coming into this plane, your first experience of emotional bonding. So in a family setting, like everybody kind of has the same humor, like the same things would feel awkward to the entire family. There's like a certain emotional language that's spoken, where you
right,
two families meet and they're like, oh, y'all do things this way, but we do things this way, so
right,
like,
right, right.
even you speaking on like your household kind of being, ground zero for some of this stuff. It's like that's where we even learn how to process emotions, right? Like that, if we had like an emotional motherboard of, of how we do things, it's like that's where that's installed at, so
Right.
yeah, it's interesting to be able to look back and say like, okay, well, here's how I was taught to process, emotions, and then having to relearn, that entire process.
Well, I think the whole spiritual path is about unlearning and relearning.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we're
A whole
constantly
lot of that.
doing. We realize once you realize that I have to detach from everything that I once loved or once thought I loved or liked, and even though you may love it, but do it love you? And sometimes in the new path that we're on, that other side, it's a must that it reflects.
Yeah.
Or it will be conflict, and that
That's a fact.
conflict can affect our spiritual path, and
Yes,
then we'll
sir.
end up doing something and projecting out of trauma or projecting out of things that we knew we wasn't ready to. That's why we wasn't putting ourselves in that position. We were stepping back. We were playing it a certain way,
Correct.
but now we have allowed ourselves, and now we have guilt. So now we have a certain amount of time before we can even get back to really believing I'm a high vibrational being.
Right.
believing that I'm a God. I'm a goddess. Believing that I, you know, am who I am, because now I feel guilty for the action that I committed on someone that I love that I didn't
Facts.
want to do. You know, and that's all avoidable. You know, we just have to detach.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
that's a
know,
fact.
They
And yeah,
say what
and I would say, that can be the hardest part is detaching from that trauma. And as you spoke on earlier, a lot of times it's the memories, that
right,
that keep us there. Even the example you gave with On Point, um, sometimes you have to do exactly what he did. You have to separate the trauma from the memories, because that's a major, I guess, magnet, for the trauma in such a way that it sticks to you.
right.
So yeah,
No,
man,
that's
that's
deep. So
very.
so so let's speak about it though,
And,
because
and tapping in with the family. Poem says you gotta sometimes you have to love from a distance, and I say that often. I tell people that all the time. You know, just
it's
just
still
because
love.
you applying distance doesn't mean the love stops.
Exactly, it's still love. You know, come on, we know the power of vibration. You
Yeah.
know, so you can send them. You know, we've been taught to pray our whole life.
Mm-hmm.
There is power in prayer. That's a real thing.
There's though.
You know, so you can send that energy over easily.
Exactly.
You know, always protection, all that. You know what I mean? But to protect yourself and to make sure that you don't allow yourself to go off the rails and to play yourself, you're like, I'm good. I ain't picking up the phone for that. You know what I mean? I'm not responding to that text.
You
You
gotta
know
you
what I
gotta you
mean?
gotta protect your energy.
Yep,
You know,
that is a
it's funny.
fact.
It's funny even talking about that. Sound is one of the first vibrations we're used to in this realm. So it's like even when we're talking to others, it's like we're taking in sound vibrations and frequencies.
Exactly.
So it's
Unconditional
deep.
love doesn't mean unconditional
Whew,
tolerance. Come on now.
man,
Come on now. I say.
that's a
I
bar.
say. No, I need that to just sit here for a
That's a
minute.
bar, right? That's a bar. I gotta let that sizzle in your spirit.
Peace, mama. Peace, mama. Mama is officially in the building.
Oh, that's deep.
She's officially in the building.
Peace,
And
peace.
we got the mic drop right now. That is very powerful. Unconditional love doesn't
Doesn't
mean
mean
unconditional
unconditional
tolerance.
tolerance. And that's deep because a lot of the times it's like you can feel in your soul and the intuition can feel what energy is for you and what isn't, and I feel like
Right, right, right.
we could talk and that's another topic, in the spiritual community we want to be those people who have more tolerance, who have more understanding, but it begets the question like when is enough, you know
Exactly. Exactly.
and like you said, self-preservation is key, and you know protecting the self is key. I say,
Man.
family. I say.
Man, no, that comment just really, yeah, that's
It's really still marinating though. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, I share. So
And T
let's
Song
see.
says thoughts turn into actions. Exactly.
Exactly. Which is why we have to protect our thoughts. Which is why we have to protect. We can't allow anybody to get on our phone line, be in our presence, and project on us. Because then at that moment they will control our thoughts. Because now you will be whether you. This is the cool thing about it, right? Sometimes we don't project. But now I was on a live earlier speaking about the inner child on TikTok. The lady was saying about how it just kept happening. Like she has a trigger in her mind that keeps playing over and over and over. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? She's trying to get this out of her head, but somebody pissed her off. Somebody, somebody close to her, a close family member, actually, really knew how to get under her skin, and she was moving on throughout her day, and it was still playing in her head over and over and over. And so that's why thoughts turn into actions. I think
That's
that's
deep.
deep because at some point we'll end up projecting that if we don't get that trigger playing in our head. So I'll use me as an example. I could be going through that. I could have dealt with a traumatic situation, with my mother, father, whatever, because it get real. I get that. That's my deepest shadow
Yeah.
work. And then say I project on my wife. Now I'm saying something. I'm kind of like
Oh, your
project
love.
on my,
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm not hearing her correctly. I'm raising my voice, whatever I'm doing, and it's really showing. that really like, I haven't addressed and I haven't got rid of that toxic BS that tries to poison me. That's what we
Because
talked about.
like you said once, and even being the most conscious and aware person in the world, um, when that seeps in, when those experiences happen, like King said, it can be hard to override it. Sometimes that person gets under your skin, um, and it's hard to kind of forget about it, throughout the day. So it really takes a lot of determination and self initiative sometimes to get these thoughts and emotions off our back. King's taking a quick pause, so I'm gonna tap in with the family in the chat. I want y'all to, drop. I don't want you to get too personal now if it's personal, but um, some of the deepest trauma that you can remember or what it relates to. Maybe it's a relationship or um, a parent situation, or it could be random trauma, as I gave earlier, with terrorism and 9/11. So yeah, I just want to tap in with the family and see what you guys got to say about the trauma. We're gonna talk all night. That's what we do, but tap in with the family. Different types of trauma, man. Trauma is life is traumatic. As they say, life is a dog eat dog world. It can be. I don't even like to say that too often, but um, life can really dish out the trauma to us, left and right, holding no blows. So it's crucial that we do what we're here for, which is shadow work, because man, there's a lot of trauma. There's trauma coming daily. You know,
I say.
there's trauma coming daily. I just tapped in with the family, gave a little question. I'm not sure if anybody wants to tap in on that, but just asking, what type of trauma hits closest to home for them. Whether it's relationship trauma, um, parental trauma, or random trauma like I gave. So nobody's tapping in yet. So I know how this goes. Some trauma is a little too personal to necessarily reveal online. So I'm gonna chill on y'all.
So
Now the king's back.
so let's see. So let's actually tap in on because we're talking about memories of the heart space.
Right.
But connect with him memories of the heart space to actually tap into that energy. We have to tap into our imagination.
Yes.
And so let's go deeper on that. Like I said, we actually have spoke about this before. But this is repetitive. Shadow work doesn't stop. It's ongoing. My inner child pops up constantly at this point in areas that I didn't even
Oh
know
yeah.
that my inner child would even be in. So basically the power of the imagination. So this is one of the meditations that I actually do when it comes to like connecting with my inner child and doing
Okay.
inner healing with my inner child. I go within, I close my eyes, obviously, and I set my attention on a memory. So a certain memory, I'll be very intentional with this memory, something that I really remember. Like, I don't use a memory that I'm that's vague. I use a memory that I really remember.
Something you can
Whether
get
it's
vivid.
Yeah, whether it's a traumatic memory or a positive memory. That's the thing.
Right.
I'm not like just looking for the trauma. I'm like, because you're gonna find some either way.
Oh,
And
oh
so
yeah.
I go
You
within.
you gonna find it.
At first I'm looking at my inner child as if I'm looking at a room, but then I go and merge and become my inner child and
Ooh,
see things from my inner child's perspective. And as
that's
I'm doing that, I'm seeing, and now I'm an adult though. So I'm grown. I have more wisdom. So now I'm looking at my parents as not my parents, as people, as just regular human beings.
that's deep.
And I'm watching a movie now. You know how when you watch a movie and you like, no, don't go left, go right, or
Yeah.
you kind of seeing it happen before it happened. Like wow, like so, and you're analyzing, you picking up on everybody's energy, who they are, who they really are. People don't even
Yeah.
know they're around snakes, and they think they loyal. You watching the whole thing. That's how I connect with my inner child, and I
Okay.
see the
That's
different
deep.
traumas, the different memories, play out,
Mm.
and then I analyze, and this is the key. I detach from everything that wasn't me.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the major key. After you view it, process it, experience it, then you detach from it. You know, and even further, you remove it from your identity. You know, because
Exactly.
that's the problem with this, with a lot of this trauma, is it becomes attached to our identity. You know, we start to see ourselves as the trauma, or trauma, or through the lens of the trauma. And like you just tapped in on, we have to detach from it, you know, completely, while still honoring it, you know, as a part of our past and as a part of our story. But you know, we got to detach from it.
Man, bro, this comment.
I was just reading that and about to tap in on that. Yep. Just from a
Peace.
fearful perspective, as in thinking I had to do things so perfect, it wounded my mind and my actions, and that's huge. 'Cause I feel like that
Man,
might be
bro.
an everybody problem. You know,
Man,
well, let me not say that, but I feel like that might be the reality for more people than we probably give credit to. You know, that constant feeling of having to be perfect or having to get it right the first time. You know,
well, Instagram, social media,
society,
Facebook is
society's not
not
really tolerant.
it's not helping that.
Yeah,
It's actually making that be very difficult.
yeah,
Even when you think love is, what they project in their movies, and people really base a lot of things off of these things with these so-called accolades, so or clout. So it's like you're in a world full of that.
yeah,
You're surrounded by nothing but competitive, low vibrational perfectness,
yeah,
and it's like that's not even see. It to me, God, and we talking about being gods. God loves the imperfect tree like the perfect tree.
yep,
And so I like to look at this thing as, like they say, the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And so everything is beautiful, just like everything is life. You see what I'm saying? And I'm saying everything is God,
yep.
vice versa. It's so many. So it's like the
Everything's a reflection.
balance, the balance in it, and when we stop competing against ourselves, because really it's ourselves. That other standard that we have in ourselves is really ourselves that's putting it there based off these other systems,
Yeah,
and that's what makes it so hard. It's still you. Like I said earlier on the live, it is like Mortal Kombat, and this is your shadow. Every time you go up, it get harder and harder.
yep,
Just so happen it's just you versus you the whole time.
yep,
You know what I mean? That's what it is. It go harder and harder. So when we talk about being perfect, and we talk about the inner child, um, I dealt with that. I actually dealt with that. Well, not even in that context, but just being called stupid, being
that's
called
deep.
dumb, being called so many things.
That's deep.
That I don't even want to say on here out of respect. So it's like, um, and having this same type of, like you said, so it wounded my actions, my mind and my actions.
Right.
And as we know, those places are deeper than mind, or mind and actions. This is your mind and your heart, your crown and your heart chakra. These are very powerful parts of you that are being attacked. And right between that is your first thought, which is your intuition. Which,
Yep.
if you ain't got these in line, then people are doing whatever they want to do with you because you're not really connected with self,
And
with
that's even
yourself.
another self. Yeah, because those two chakras got to be connected.
That's why they didn't want us to
Everything got to
know
be aligned with
this,
the heart.
because we would be more sharper. That's why whenever you being who you are, and you go in certain rooms and you speak and you frustrate certain people and you frustrate certain family members, it's because of that vibration that you are on.
Yeah.
It's nothing. And you're healing. You're putting in that work. And guess what? You got all these aligned, and you got your intuition, so they can't play you no more. You can see between you can see through the
And
BS.
I'm about to
You
say that.
know,
Yeah, that thing is like it's like a lie detector built in.
being a bully at home, at school, at work, everywhere.
Hmm.
Being bullied, yo, that's deep.
That is.
This is inner child trauma. That's fear.
Yeah.
That's having to live in fear everywhere. That's not knowing what's going to happen. I got to go to this place, but I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I'll tell
That's
you,
deep.
like, honestly, family, what you should do, you should go connect with those feelings, connect with those memories, sit with those memories, feel those memories. Don't think, just feel. And as you feel, assess it, cry. You have to go through that process, and then the next time you go back and do it and relive it and shift that whole memory.
You know, because you already know what I was gonna go
Yeah,
into. You know,
let's
because me and
go.
Kay talked about this a while ago. It's like nobody told us, like, who told us that you can't shift memories, like King's saying. It's like in those situations where you were being bullied, right? Go into the memory and stand up for yourself, right? Shift the
Right, right,
memory from being, the victim to being the victor, right? Because in all these situations, we want to, we want to be the victor in the situation, and not the victim, you know.
right.
So that's deep that King spoke on that, because you do have the option of using your imagination and your visualization to shift some of these memories, in your favor.
Come on now, talk about it.
Mm.
They
They stay
stay.
mad, but
Now read that for me, please, fam.
they
Appreciate you.
they, they stay mad because you see them for who they are, and they mad because they can't get over on you anymore and can't use you. So yeah, and listen, whoo, listen, boy, if you're talking about something that pisses people off, that's at the top of the list. When people realize that their tricks don't work, that the manipulation, the gaslighting, the what have you doesn't work, oh man,
Yeah, that's
that's
no. I think the key part is they use you, man. That's
yeah,
why they mad at you because they
yeah,
can't use you no more. You have
nah,
grown. You are now moving in oneness with self,
yeah,
not with nobody else. You feel me?
and
So
that's the problem for them.
exactly, exactly. Now that's so powerful, man. They
It
they
is
mad. It's almost like the plies. Oh, you mad? How
right.
you get the, you mad? Like, yeah, what I'm saying, you want to argue. Like that's that type of energy. Like they
Yeah,
really want to get under your skin. They really want you to project their trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like you like, nah, I'm good, G.
nah, I'm
I'm
cool.
good.
I'm cool. I'm not really fucking with it.
And it do hurt them. And it
Yeah.
hurt them. You know why? Because family, let's keep it real. They hurt. They want you to explore that pain that they feeling right now with them.
Listen, it wasn't
You
until I
know
got older that I understood the truth and misery loves company. Because
exactly. There we go.
man, it's just a fact. Unfortunately,
There we go.
it's just a
You know.
fact.
So we have to be like, peace don't need company. How about that?
Oh, boy, peace, peace can do bad all by itself.
Peace ain't even bad. It's the perspective.
Exactly.
I used to think so. So look, the Bible. So that's why I look at two sides of the Bible. But it actually says that isolation. What does it say? Isolation is It was on. I had it. Um,
It's
basically
coming
spoke
back.
about. It spoke about isolation. Basically, is not a positive thing, but it's a beautiful thing. Actually, you know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing. Isolating yourself is actually the power. Like we need to isolate. If you are energy, when do you recharge?
Or when do you stop getting stimulated by other energies? Because and that's the key that we're talking about here is like we are transmitters and receivers, right? So like these things should be taught in school, that we're constantly receiving information in the form of psychic information that we just get into the mind, different types of information. But if you can't even translate and differentiate the information that you're transmitting and the information you're receiving, meaning if you're an empath and you're around somebody's energy, right, you might take on somebody's mood and not even know that it's their mood, and you might not even know that you didn't even feel like that until you came in contact with this person. So that's when it gets tricky, like you're saying, of the fact that we're energy, and we have to conduct ourselves as energy. But go ahead,
So
tap into
look,
this.
let's talk about it though. Actually, so Mama said, so don't let me not forget about, just remind me, live on TikTok that what the lady said, because you talk about what you're talking about right now. But she said, yeah, that's true. Let me go back up here. Yes, that's true, but think about it. You shift your energy and become stronger, and now they're mad because you're happy. That's exactly what it is.
That's a
You know what I'm
fact.
saying? They are mad that you happy. You know why they mad you happy though? Because they not happy. You know, it's kind of like this. Like it's called trauma bonding. We do a lot of it in our community. When you no longer can trauma bond with someone or don't want to trauma bond with someone,
Yeah.
then now they have to look at themselves.
Yeah.
They can't, you know what I mean? You guys can't, get drunk and just talk about BS and just be toxic, and they can't just do the same and then do it all over again tomorrow. You like, nah, I want to do something different. I got something to do. And you really do. And they frustrated because you got a life, you know. But it's only because they're hurt. They feel alone. They feel abandoned. Their inner
And
child.
and the deep part is, a lot of people can't sit with themselves. That's and Tupac said, he said a lot of people can't look at themselves in the mirror, and look into their soul. A lot of people, that misery loves company we're talking about, sometimes that misery needs the company because it can't stand to sit with itself to really look within. So it's like when you choose to make that move for your energy or for your self-preservation, the other party either has to adapt to your absence or they have to adjust to your frequency. So meaning they either got to adapt
Exactly.
to what you're not doing for them now, which is going to come with, like you said, frustration from their side, or, on the more positive side, they're inspired to raise their frequency so that they can connect with you on that level. So it's like when you're interacting with my energy, you have to come on this level, and
Exactly.
I feel like
It's
that
the
can be a,
standard. We
yeah,
have to, I feel like the spiritual path is about standards, love, not even spiritual path. Love,
yeah,
self-love is about having standards and setting boundaries.
that's a fact.
So if you go around someone and you know things have been toxic, set your boundaries. They
Yeah.
don't they don't reach them boundaries. Now you know it's like I didn't do it, you did it. You know what I'm saying? Like I told
Because
you, what my
yeah,
boundaries.
and I feel like it's natural for people to feel like, everybody probably knows or feels like you should have boundaries, but like putting boundaries up can sometimes be like you can get guilt from that. You can feel bad for it, like like
Exactly.
you switching the vibe up or like you being weird, but
Right, right, right.
that's why when really advocating for ourselves becomes important because the things we feel and the things that we require are important, and
Right, right, right.
if we don't hold space for them, nobody else really will, So I feel like there's a lot of guilt and a lot of, like, oh, like, is this the right thing to do that comes with, separating,
But guess
race
what?
frequency.
We have to get rid of that guilt by doing root chakra work.
Yeah,
Get grounded, go outside, plant your feet, and set your intention. And just
exactly.
really just love yourself. And like I said earlier, connect with your throat chakra.
Yeah,
Balance your throat chakra so when you're speaking, I'm speaking in truth. I'm speaking balance. I don't have to feel the type of way about what I'm saying
exactly.
because honestly, truth comes with a certain type of correction that some people can't handle.
Yeah, and a
You know what I'm
certain type of
saying?
accountability.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, this light pretty bright on my forehead. I'm
Yeah,
like, yo, but facts,
it's
man.
like, you on the main stage. I'm over here adjusting my lights too. Like, oh
Man,
man,
jeez.
goddamn.
Y'all could have told me in the chat. You feel me? I got
Yeah, yo,
my
tell me in
first
the
star
chat.
light beaming right here. You feel me?
It's like, am I
Um,
shining, chat?
but this comment is powerful. They mad because you don't club and drink like they do, so they call you names. Like you think you better than me or holy roll all that. And I ain't gonna lie, and the names
Holy
get
shit.
even they get even crazier. That is a fact. But you know why? Why they do that? Because they intimidated by you. They're intimidated by you. They're intimidated, and that's okay. Greatness can be intimidating.
Yeah,
When you walk in the room, and you're vibrating, and you can't help it. You don't even know what it is. You may think you're having a bad day, but your vibration is not saying that.
right.
The vibration that you are emitting is not saying that. You're vibrating such a high vibration that you're shaking up the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you grow around these people, they're not used to that. They're used to a certain type of, it's like you listen to hip hop. everybody moving on a 440 hertz vibration. So when you come with this 432, you know what I'm saying? They like, what
Like,
is that?
whoa.
That's off key to them.
Yeah.
You off key to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they want to try to call you out, not knowing they've been off key their whole life. And we was off key too.
Right.
We're
And
still
you
getting
got on the
tuned
new
up.
key.
I'm still getting tuned. That's what shadow work is for. To tune up. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I think it's a good time to go ahead and tap in with the so basically, Inner Child short film is dropping tomorrow, possibly tonight. I'm gonna say that.
Depending
But
how you feel.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I move out the spirit, man. You feel me? So we finna go ahead and preview a little snippet of it. You know what I'm saying?
Little
Special
something, something.
preview. You feel me? And yeah, it just tapping on that, and obviously it's about the inner child. So and I would
Facts.
love all the feedback. Like I said, it'll probably be out tonight just because I show y'all. I don't want y'all to have to just sit there and wait. Um, but give me one moment. So be patient with it. It's my first time sharing my screen. So hopefully it rolls smooth. Can y'all see it? Can you see it, bro?
Yep.
All right, let's roll.
We in there.
Sit with myself, they wanna live with myself. Tell me who there with nobody else there. Tell me who cur with nobody else cur. You already know they ain't playing it fur. You was alone, shedding them tears. I know you ain't scared, but you trapped in fur. They ignore your words. They gossip about you when you flip. Yeah. I'm fed up. I just found healing in a letter. I'm the umbrella for my brothers. I became a man without my father. See the contradictions in your parenting. The picture look different when you don't control the narrative. Yeah, I just hit control without delete on all the memories. Let's live for peace. Yeah. You won't back me in again. Then go acting like you innocent. Tribe, I don't do no friends. My family is exclusive. My life in a movie, I got stuck.
Yeah.
Peace. Yes, sir. So a little razzle dazzle of the razzle dazzle. But yeah, this visual is actually projecting my life, certain parts of my life. I'm actually working on it to be in an actual movie. That is the goal. A big, a real, hour and a half or some show. But this is just projecting my life. Certain parts of my life, how my inner child was. Really being without my father. You know what I'm saying? In many aspects of my life. This record is about my mother and my father. Um, but mainly my father in his absence and the things that I had to battle and I had to deal with. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't there. He was there in my ear, projecting negativity and pain and trauma and um, a bunch of abusive, words. And not judging him, that was just a part of my life at the time, and so I
Okay.
basically tapped in, and this song was really shadow work for me. That's why I said, you know, um, tell me who cur when nobody else cur. Tell me who there when nobody else there. You was alone shedding them tears. I know you ain't scared, but you trapped in fear. They ignore your words, then gossip about you when you flip. You know, and so that was the pattern.
Heavy.
Ignore me, but then whenever I actually project the pain, they talk about me.
Right.
You know, and so that's basically what this record is about. Just my inner child, my personally, and then what the spirit actually allowed me to give to for the people. You know what I'm saying? To relate to y'all, to speak from my heart, and actually project something. It had to be pure. It had to be from my own emotion. It had to be from my own life for me
Facts.
to actually be able to do it. So yeah, I'm excited about this video. About this short film, and it's definitely for healing. It's a healing song. It's not a song just to, if you get lit to it, I'm grateful. You know what I mean? That you can vibe to it. But it is
A real
made
healing
to
track though.
it is made for you to, connect with yourself, connect with the words, and go within. If you feel uncomfortable a little bit and you get a little vulnerable on the record, that's okay. Allow it to happen. The trap beat and the auto tune is only there for the playback. Not for the initial. I
And I
say.
like that. I like that because yeah, a lot of artists out here nowadays is, they're taking people down a number of different paths, but you as an artist, like you just said, you are actually including people in your healing and encouraging people to heal with you. So I feel like we got to speak on that because that's deep on an artistry level.
I say
That's
much
powerful.
gratitude. Man, that's the thing about the inner child work. We actually get to know who we are.
Exactly.
And due to, I told you this before, bro, I found out I was a healer when I was healing myself.
Speak on it.
And I became very passionate about it.
Speak
And
on it.
now at this point, I rise, I bring shadow work from under the ground like Thoth
From the
did the
underworld.
pyramids of, men of Giza. That's how I do shadow work at this
Hmm.
point. And that's when I knew I'm a healer, and I found the passion in it. So my point is that our passions are in our inner child,
Yeah.
and our inner child be stuck in trauma. So we got to get past that trauma so we can actually get to our true passions.
To our
You know,
gifts.
I say,
Some you speak on a lot. You say we can have 12, 13 different gifts and passions.
and I've been doing music for a long time. Many different avenues
I
from
say so.
street rap to just low vibrational rap. Period, to being a Christian rapper to truth rapper to conscious rapper to all these different phases. And guess what? The whole time I knew I wasn't this wasn't who I was. That's why I kept evolving, kept on, and I will continue to evolve. But the point is that when you that's how the shadow work is. That's how healing is. It's a
Yep.
process. You got to keep on sitting with your inner child to pull off more layers, and you're gonna get closer and closer and closer. It's kind of like working out, and you got
Yep.
a goal of being that 180 or whatever it is, and you like I'm at 200, but I was at 250. But you can't be like, dang man, like I ain't meet my goal. Say you set a date. It's like, no, man, I just lost 50 pounds. Gee,
Right.
so having that type of energy when it comes to shadow work, Julio will tell you, I'm kind of like my mama called it daring faith. I'm a very much so deep diver. I'm a jump off the building with it. You know what I mean? That's just how I am. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Hmm.
why not? If we don't, what's gonna happen? We're just gonna be here. Let's jump.
Right.
Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, and so we have to be like that when it comes to our healing, because once again, that's the unknown. We have to be comfortable with the unknown. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what's on the other side. That's the whole point of it. If you knew, then you would already have healed that area.
I about to say right. It would defeat the purpose of
I would
experiencing
have
it.
already healed that area.
Yeah.
You know.
That's heavy.
You know. Um, and first and foremost, family, much gratitude to y'all. We appreciate y'all support. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
Tapping
For
in
y'all
with us over
following us
here.
over. Not to
You
cut you
know,
off. Following us over to YouTube.
exactly. Much gratitude. And like I said, we're still working on things. So if y'all want to drop anything in the chat that we need to fix, what I'm saying, like if it, as far as quality, sound, just make sure we just want to make sure everything's good. You know what I'm saying? That y'all
Yes, sir.
obviously that everything's we ain't trying to hurt nobody's ears. Make sure the mic's not too loud. All that good stuff. Make sure y'all letting us know. Um, But so we talked about the imagination,
Yes, sir.
going into that place, memories of the heart space. That is actually connected. So let's talk about it. So when it comes to inner child work, we have to go to the origin, which we spoke about before. And going to the origin, the etymology of well, actually, can you get the definition of origin for me real quick
Yeah,
before
let's
I
get
jump
it.
ahead of myself?
Let's get it. All right, cool. So origin is defined as the point or place where something begins, arises, or is derived. So run that back. The point or place where something begins, arises, or is derived.
Which is deep because the etymology is rise. or to
Okay.
begin, a
Interesting.
birth, become visible, to start.
Deep. That's heavy.
So the origin. So when we talk about our inner child, we are that's the origin of your pain, your trauma. That's the origin of your light, your joy, your what you like, what you don't like. To
Whether
this
you shine
day,
or whether you don't.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we should go back and not attack the origin, but analyze the origin, sit with the
Yeah.
origin of our life, of our trauma, which is the inner child. The inner
Yeah.
child is the origin. That's the point of it. That's saying that whole thing. This all began, with your inner child. Because at birth, you were a child when you came out, and at that point, you have a baby. You have to live. You have to grow, and
Yeah.
in this time, all these experiences built who you are. So about the age of really, I can't say a certain age to what things affect you to you when you're an adult because things happened to me at 18
I'm
that
about to,
affect me
yeah.
on some
They
inner
keep
child
happening.
level. Actually, I'm affected as a grown man. At 30, years young, because I'm not aging. But at 30 years young, I still actually, like you said, I deal with that inner child pain and trauma, and it rises up as if I'm still that age, and that's we have to learn what's happening. Like as a grown man, I say, as a grown
I say,
man, I used to throw temper tantrums.
mm,
Um, I would get upset and project a certain way. And it seemed tough, seemed very tough. But my inner child was just crying out,
that's the,
and so we have to know what it looks like. Like, what does it look like when my inner
yeah.
child is crying out?
When your inner child's looking
You
for that
know,
validation or, is looking to feel nurtured. Yeah. You got to
because
know
your
those.
inner child, when it cries out, that could be the exact thing that people are calling you crazy about. That could be
Exactly.
the exact time that your family don't like you. Therefore, your inner child is being overly suppressed,
Yeah.
overly oppressed. At that point, you know.
Yeah, and that's when it becomes, that's when people start to realize why they're lashing out at other people, or they start to see the why they keep having problems with such and such, and why they're also
Right,
having
right,
problems
right.
with this person. It's kind of like the, oh yeah, like because this has really been eating at me since then. It's like that aha moment a little bit. Of getting to the origin of that trauma, and that's why this shadow work is so beautiful, because you can really have that moment and feel like like you really made progress with yourself when you get to the bottom of it. It's like, okay, so that's why I've been a little bit more angry. That's why I yeah, it can really give you a sense of seeing the light at the other end of the tunnel.
No, I say,
You know,
which is what this is all about, family
yeah,
healing. We want to have gratitude. We gotta have gratitude. We always speak about gratitude, but that's a big part. Throughout this whole process, don't forget it. Every day, even when things don't seem right, they
yeah,
seem like they're wronger than ever. When
yeah,
things didn't go the way you thought they were supposed to go, gotta have gratitude because that energy is what's going to either make or break the next moment.
yeah.
So it already happened, but how you perceive how what happened is what's going to um, project or affect what happens in the future, which
And
is
a quote I
seconds
live
right
by,
after that.
facts, and a quote I live by is nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. You
Say that
know,
again, bro. Can you put that in the chat? You know what I'm saying?
in the chat, yeah, let's throw that in the chat
I'm gonna
real
throw
quick.
it up here. And you say it one more time.
It's nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And that I'm gonna get to the author as well for you. Um, that's actually Shakespeare. That's actually your man Shakespeare. So I'm gonna
Hold
throw it
up, I'm
in
gonna
the
put this
chat.
on first, and then I'll post that because that's real. She said, "So key and always express enthusiasm." And that's so beautiful because enthusiasm comes with a some people would say you're being too optimistic,
Right.
or you're being too much, you're projecting too much, you need to calm down. But it's like, no, why would I do that? Because normally we use that energy on the opposite end when things go wrong.
Yep.
You would call everybody complaining. You know what I'm saying? You cussing people out. You just project like you're letting it just control your life. So why not just let gratitude have that same effect? That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
and I
You
want
know.
to, and I was gonna say, and this is actually one of my good close friends, Nick. So shout out to Nick, man. Nick is tapped in, with a lot of my personal shadow work.
Peace,
But
peace, peace, God.
some he spoke on enthusiasm. And me and him, we kind of been on a Napoleon Hill binge lately. But I was tapped in recently to how enthusiasm can be a make or break quality for people, specifically when it comes to like your success, right? Like when you first meet somebody and they put out their hand, when it's like you give them a full like, hey, I'm King Manifest, and they're like, hey, I'm such and such.
Right, right.
Immediately they're gonna like, yo, what's good with this guy? But if you show with enthusiasm, like, hey, I'm such and such, people will remember that. And even with public speakers, when somebody's speaking to you publicly, you're gonna remember if they were monotone or if they had enthusiasm.
Right, right,
So
right.
I feel like when we're talking about gratitude, enthusiasm can really keep you in the gratitude game, because it can really keep you um operating as your highest self, with as much gratitude in the moment as possible. And yeah, man, I'm glad Nick spoke on that. And I'm glad you spoke on that gratitude aspect. Yes,
Let's tap
sir,
in
Nick.
on
Master
that.
key. That's a fact, brother.
Can you tap in on that for me, brother?
Yeah, man. Uh the origin I find begins from within our mother's womb as we're connected to her. So we feel what our mothers feel. That's heavy. And listen, because me and King were tapped in on a Dr. B interview. King, I don't know if you remember this, but um it was either Dr. B or it might have been Brother Rob was saying that we are actually supposed to be connected to the memories of our mother while in the womb.
Mm,
But that's specifically things like the LED and ultraviolet light in the hospital. It's the Men in Black effect, kind of with the light. It makes us forget. But that's deep that they spoke on that, because I feel like we, somewhere in the
mm,
recess of our mind and subconscious, we do have these memories of what our mother was going through, while she was carrying us.
mm.
So that's heavy, because man, that might be trauma level 9,000. It's just like once you get past the trauma that you can remember with your conscious mind, it's just like, wait, is there trauma from? So that's deep. That's taking it a whole level deeper, and that would require you to tap in with your mom, who's your ancestor to be, and really get in tune with their story and their life, um,
Exactly.
especially when you were coming through the portal, so to speak. So that's deep. We got people tapping in on the
No, that the
T
origin because but the origin is birth. That's what we just spoke
exactly,
on. So
exactly.
so yeah, she took it right there. There's
Yep.
no, it was just straight. That's so powerful right there. Yeah, yeah. Much gratitude to you, family,
T Storm
for
says many
everything
of
that
us
you have
have.
been.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm listening.
No, many of us have same experiences as you and me and all of us. And I know King is gonna weigh on this too, but I feel like that's because, man, I've heard it, and sometimes we refer to each other as reflections. We're all reflections of one another in the Most High. You know, and I like to think that in the same respect, when you're talking about a soul level, we all come from the same source, right? So the
Right,
human experience is, like you're saying, a lot of people go through the same things just in different forms,
right.
and dressed up in different ways. But um I feel like there's gonna come a time, when all of humanity is united in the heart space, where we're able to unify and realize that like I am King and King is me. What he experiences on a daily mirrors what I go
So,
through on a daily. We may go through it with different people, but if you strip the 3D world of all the characters and the settings and the stage of it all, we're really all dealing with the same emotions, and we're really, all on the journey, of self to get to the bottom of some of these things. But as they said, I feel like we a lot of the times we resonate with people closer than we think, which is
exactly.
beautiful.
We should.
We should, right?
Because if you could really understand like your mother and that birth, you have different type of compassion.
Yeah.
Which compassion is a part of being healed. We can't be high vibrational beings. We can't be we can't be saying that we're obviously we're not going to allow certain things to happen, but we can't be judging. We can't be judgmental. We
Right.
have to be compassionate because guess what? Well, whoever they are, we were.
Yeah.
One day. And can be that tomorrow. Raising your vibration has to be a consistent thing. If I stop doing certain practices, I could just lose it. And even with those, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a real thing. We're fighting. It's a frequency war. It's a frequency war that we in. You
Yeah, because
know.
you really got to consider yourself. You're a constant channel for energy, so you have to constantly purify that channel. You have to constantly regulate it. You have to constantly assess. What's
Exactly.
being passed through the channel. Because at the end of the day, we're as reflections of the Most High or of Source or of the Divine Feminine, Big Mama energy. Really, our only goal is to become more clear, to reflect it more. You know what I'm saying? So that we can, like we say, getting downloads or channeling that information so that we can become a better receptor or a better receptacle for that energy.
Right.
It's like if we're a spiritual bowl and we're looking to embody the spirit or embody the Most High, you know, our bowl can get full and murky with all of, like we're talking about, all of this trauma, with all of
Mm.
these attitudes, with these beliefs about, who we are and who other people are. Um, but the more we clear ourselves through shadow work of this trauma, the more our life just begins to reflect that, of which we come from, which is abundance and joy and peace and things of that nature. So they're gonna tap in on the family. Um, yeah, okay. You picked the one I was just looking at. So I mentioned that because I remember just starting out on my spiritual journey, or just starting on my spiritual during I was watching a certain person, and a lot when my son would hear that person speak, he would smile. Okay, that's deep.
Mm.
So yeah, sometimes your kids can be the, like we were talking about earlier, babies and children are more connected to that other side. So they have a knowing sometimes that that we don't.
Yeah, they're in the and they're the realest beings. They're in the realest place of it all. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be there's no such thing as judgment from a child. But a child will tell you your breath stink in a minute.
Hmm.
But you don't hear somebody saying that child is judgmental. No, that baby's just real. You know,
That baby just real.
you feel me?
That's just a real ass baby.
You know what I mean? You feel me? And that's what it is though. That's the
Nah,
energy. And so when we tap in with that energy and our inner child is healed and we flowing and we in flow state and we feeling good, you just gonna be speaking your truth like a child, dude. Just
we gotta get that on the shirt. Babies are the realest.
no, for real, for real, for
Facts.
real. You know.
Can't lie to a baby, man.
No, you can't. You know what I'm saying? You can't. You can't. Um so yeah, once again, man, much gratitude to you, family. Yeah, this has been a beautiful
Yeah,
experience.
man.
Drop in the chat, how y'all feel, just about. Matter of fact, this is what we're gonna do. Um,
Hey, we haven't even
right
got real
now,
YouTube. Not to cut you off, we haven't even gotten real YouTube on them because I know you flashed across the screen. But we gotta tell them like, comment, subscribe, all of that jazz.
no, I say no, yeah, yeah, exactly. It pushes that feed out for sure. We should have
Yes,
been on
sir.
that, but y'all
So
know we're not on that.
hitting
Um,
that like button helps get this out to to the collective. So
I say.
yeah, smash that.
So I want to just everybody, and you can put it in the chat. What would you say right now when it comes to inner child? You healing your inner child. What is the key area? And go with your heart. Soon as you think about it, or soon as you analyze it, feel it. And how what, and then go back to your mind for that memory. What connects. But like I said, if it happens, if you know right now, that'll be great. Share it in the chat. But that I think that is a practice that we should be practicing continuously. That is the beginning. Because you got to figure out what areas. Like I said, it's the anger, it's the pain of abandonment,
Yep.
it's sadness, whatever it is. Then you got the joyful side.
Yep.
So you may need to have some fun.
Right.
You may not start with your inner child when it comes to like a deep trauma. You may
Right.
start. with video games. You may start,
Yeah, because that's a big one
with
for my
water
generation.
guns or Nerf guns. You may start with board games. Who knows? So don't. That's why we need to feel, and it's like, what is that area for you right now?
Right.
But I think,
What's that look like? What's the inner child work look like for you?
but I'm asking this because we're not here to procrastinate and to play. And a lot of us play with it. We have been, even for myself. I told Julio, I'm giving 100%. We talked about this actually. It was Napoleon Hill
Yeah.
about giving 100% in everything you do, and
Yeah.
that's really what time it is. And it's like we gotta keep that same energy when it comes to healing. Let's give our all.
And hey, yeah, the inner child work can be like the fun part of shadow work. Once you really show up for the inner child work, it's like, oh man, like this is all stuff I used to love as a kid. Like you said, even if it's something as simple as video games, getting on Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto, or maybe that's
Exactly.
sports, like you said. So I feel like
Exactly.
shadow work can be real heavy and kind of daunting, but that inner child work can really be the fun part. Trauma doesn't have an age. Ooh, definitely doesn't.
It do not. It do not. And I think that's what people need to get in their head. People be like, I'm good. I'm this and that because of the age they are. No, man.
That's the
You
exactly,
know, the
exactly.
older the older you are in that aspect, probably the more trauma you got. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just
Especially if you've
piling it
gone your
on and
whole
on.
life. Especially if you're going your whole life not clearing any trauma.
Exactly. It's just piled on. It's like, and that's where it get overwhelming. You look at it, you like, dang, that's a pile. That's a pile, bro. Like, where do I even start? It's like cleaning a dirty home. You don't know what room to start with.
Right.
And guess
It's like,
what?
oh man, I got crowded in here.
But guess what? Go to your heart space and feel your way through it. Your heart is going to tell you where to start.
Yeah.
Because if you go with your mind, you may take yourself too fast.
Yeah.
Follow your heart. See, follow your heart. They made it like a relationship thing. That's a
Yeah.
you thing. That's a self-love thing. Following your heart is a self-love thing.
Okay.
It's your heart is connected with your intuition, and we spoke about a few episodes ago. So your heart can actually save your life. You know what I
And
mean? It saved my life
I'm about to
plenty.
say, if we speaking on that'll probably be the only thing that'll save your life. Is your heart. So that's heavy.
Because most battles and ignorant disagreements that happen amongst the melanated community is a mind battle. It's an ego
Yeah.
thing. Nobody's feeling. If they was feeling, they would be like, man, brothers is killing brothers in real life. That's how you know they're not feeling.
Exactly.
It's ego. It's just in their crown.
Yeah.
So feel your way through it. Don't because the ego is this is some deep stuff. The ego has an insecure side.
Oh, does it?
The ego
That's
is
probably the
very
fuel.
insecure, actually. You're right,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
that's the fuel.
You know,
That's the fuel.
um,
A lot of and that's how it goes. A lot of times when we feel like we don't, amount or we don't, add up to the standard, it's like that's when the ego starts lashing out to overcompensate because it's like, no, I got to show them that, and that comes from that lack of self love to even feel the need to do that. Having gratitude will change your attitude. Sheesh.
See, I like it though because you changing the we all about changing it. Changing the game on everything. So I don't know if you're a god or a goddess. But you are divine. So we'll speak like that. T, you are changing the definition of T. They like to say you giving the tea. It'd be
Yo,
more like
T,
mess
T
and
is giving it to you.
now T giving the tea like on the real tea. That them
Yeah.
herbs. You know what I'm saying? That good
That's some hibiscus elderberry type tea.
You feel me? They tried to put a negative name on T, but
Nah,
no,
for
like I
real.
love it, like you coming, like I just much gratitude to you, but yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Gratitude to you, facts.
Bringing that T for real, and then last name Psalms, that's wisdom, So I'm like, yes, I'm tapping in with that,
Yeah,
yeah, I say
that's a frequency. I share for sure.
very powerful name, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts.
For sure. So actually, family, we getting ready to close, but I want to say this that next week we can start bringing people on if y'all want to. It's a little different now. We on here, So, those that feel comfortable, we will be like sending you like an email, or asking you to drop your email in the chat, and then we'll send you a
It's like
link.
a link for
And
you.
you can, you can tap in with us. So we still doing that. Just making that
Yes,
clear.
sir.
We are tapping in. But this being our first episode on YouTube, we're not gonna do that yet. We want to make sure that we,
Get it right, get it tight for y'all.
exactly. We don't
We're
want
gonna, we
to.
gonna make some concise directions to make it real easy for y'all to hop in and connect with
Exactly.
us.
Exactly. We don't want to put y'all in the troubleshooting aspect of things.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, but much gratitude, family. I'm gonna go ahead and release the video tonight. It's probably up already because I had did something that basically I preset it for the time of the show. Um, and I thought about it, but the reason is that it's not for me to micromanage and gatekeep it. It's over now. It's out there, and the frequency of this podcast of this episode, the way y'all hearts are open, and
What's
my
up?
heart, everybody's hearts open. I want y'all to go tap into it on that time. And whatever the spirit has for y'all,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
grateful. For that. Just for being a portal to do that. But I have already heard stories about it, and I actually shed tears today myself watching it. So
It's definitely very heart space centered. It had me almost choking up. I'm not gonna lie.
so yeah, family. It's gonna be up, and if it's not up, I'll make sure it is up after this live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, much gratitude. And then I see that 7.
That's to the
That's
family.
that's the
I
perfect
say.
number, to end it on. So peace, love, and life, family. Let's rock out one more time,
For the
and we
one
will
time.
see y'all next Sunday.
Peace, fam.
Shadowwork. See it for what it is. And if you gotta cry, then shed tears. You are not alone, you got yourself still. Too many perspectives on what's real. Shadowwork. See it for what it is. And if you gotta cry, then shed tears. You are not alone, you got yourself still. Too many perspectives on what's real. What's real?
Facing my insecurities, knowing where I got it from. I look at love different. It ain't nothing with broken trust.